Josh is going to talk about what it means to live named, to know that God has his finger on your life and that he's got good plans for you.
So my wife and I have these friends that are incredible people, and over the last few years, they've actually engaged this process of adopting somebody from a different country. And so they went away just recently to go pick up their son in this country they've never been to before. And they got there, and this little boy's name is Ao. There's so much in a name. Like, this is an amazing name. His name means something in the country that he's from. And now, not only that, they have these official papers that now say that his last name is theirs. And so he's this person who has a name from one country and another name that is from a whole different family. His story's completely changed because his name now has changed. So now he has different opportunities. He's got a different space to come from. He's just this amazing child that they have fallen in love with and have made him theirs. And all because now his name has changed. His life will be completely different. There's something about a name, isn't there? Like, naming something actually brings it into a space where we think, okay, I know what that is. A few years ago, for example, I got diagnosed with ADHD, and I was struggling my whole life with a bunch of different things, and I had no idea how to overcome the spaces where I felt like I was lacking. But the minute something was named, I knew what I was fighting against. I knew exactly what I could go after. I knew how to actually take care of it or get the resources I needed to take care of it. Naming something changes the game for each one of us because it actually puts things in view that we can go after super well. So a name really matters. A name will determine whether or not you want to hang out with a particular person, or you want to go to a specific restaurant, or if you want to see some kind of movie. If it's a name that has a bad association for you, you kind of try to avoid it. So for example, here are a few names of either different restaurants or products that you and I probably would never buy. Okay, here's the first one. Frying Nemo's Fish and Chips. I really like Nemo. Why would we ever do that? Poopsie's Popsicles. I'm not eating one of those. Rolling Dough Cooking Company. I don't want to roll dough. I just want to eat it. Cheesy Does It. Weird. Turnip the Beet. I don't understand. And Poo Poo Hot Pot. No, thank you. That's awful. So what about the names that you call yourself? The reality is, if you talked to other people the way that you talk to yourself, you probably won't have any friends. Right? When you mess up, what's the first thing you say about yourself? I'm stupid, or I'm dumb, or I'll never get stuff together, or I'm just a loser. The way we talk to ourselves matters. And in the Bible, Jesus actually says to us, love your neighbor as you do yourself. How can you ever turn around and learn how to love other people when you're calling yourself some very mean names? See, the luxury for Jesus followers is that Jesus doesn't talk to you and I like that. The way he has named us is he calls us things like sons, daughters, loved. He has said stuff about us that we don't even actually, if we're honest, believe about ourselves. And yet he sees the potential in us. He kind of knows who we can be, and he calls it out the best in us in some ways that are amazing, loving, and good. So if Jesus has such positive names for you, what are you going to call yourself? Are you going to believe the lies that you've been saying about yourself to yourself? Or are you going to start believing the things that Jesus actually says about you? Netcasting. We get the idea from John 21, 1-14. And it's a story where after the resurrection of Jesus, Peter goes back to his job. He's a fisherman again. After years of not doing it, he goes back to what he knows, and so he's doing it. He's been a professional fisherman for years. And so here he is hanging out with all of his fisherman buddies, going out fishing, and they're not catching anything at all. And all of a sudden, this mysterious man on the side of the beach comes up and screams out, "Hey, why don't you try the other side?" And so they do. They take this net, this huge piece of rope, throw it on the other side of the boat, and the miracle is that all of a sudden the net fills up with fish, so much so that the boat starts leaning and they have to actually work so hard at getting it back to shore. So later on in the story, we find out that the mysterious man on the beach, is actually Jesus. But Peter has no idea when he picks up his net and throws it to the other side. He hears some advice from somebody far away and he decides to take it. I mean, literally, he has no idea if this guy on the beach has ever fished. Like, do you even fish, bro? A growth mindset is the belief that you can do anything you put your mind to. It's not an issue of pride. It's not saying that you can do anything. It's the idea that if there's something that comes your way, you're more than able to take care of it by finding the right resources, gaining the right advice, to be able to accomplish the goal that's in front of you. So here's the difference between a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. Just a few things. One, a fixed mindset says, I'm not good at this. A growth mindset says, how could I improve? A fixed mindset says, I'm done trying. A growth mindset says, I'll try something different. Again, last one, a fixed mindset says, I won't get any better. A growth mindset says, I'll keep trying. What you believe about yourself actually matters because it influences the way that you see the world around you. A growth mindset is like putting on brand new glasses. It's seeing something completely different than you did before. And the way that you talk about things actually does matter. When you look at a problem or a scenario in front of you and you say, I can't do it, is it that you can't do it or that you're scared to do it? Those things matter. But what you believe about yourself actually matters more. The joy of the gospel is that Jesus didn't just come to make your life comfortable. He came to actually make your life successful. For you to be successful at life in general, in relationships, in your purpose, the way that you have your way in the world. He wants you to actually take that on and be successful at it. There are these two verses in the Bible from 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 9 and 10, and this is what it says. But you are the ones chosen by God, chosen for the high calling of priestly work, chosen to be a holy people, God's instrument to do His work and speak out for Him, to tell others the night and day difference He made for you, from nothing to something, from rejected to accepted. The names He has called you, loved, cared for, compassionate, able, more than a conqueror, all of these particular names, what they do is they lend you to being able to see things from a different perspective, through a different lens. When I say successful, I don't mean a bunch of money and being the most popular person in your school. I mean having a sense of purpose, allowing your life to start influencing everybody else so that they flourish and become better people because you're here on the planet. That, I think, is success. It's not necessarily based on the stuff that you have or how much money you have in your bank account. It's based on how are other people's lives better because you're in it. But for you to get there, for you to actually be the person that helps other people flourish, you have to have a growth mindset. You have to understand first and foremost who you are in Christ, who He says that you are. You got to believe that. And from there, you can look at the world with a different lens and say, it might seem impossible, but with God, I can actually do it. It might seem like this could never get better, and yet because God is in my life, because He has named me completely different than what I used to be named, now with Him, I can actually do things that I was never able to do before.
Now, I grew up in a reserve, and I lived my life there with my family for a majority of my life. And but one thing that I experienced going to school was a bully, right? And this is the first time that I ever experiencing anything like this, any negativity towards my life, because I grew up, wanting to be like a teacher or something. That's what I dreamt of. And that's what motivated me to keep going, and what I want to be and who I'm going to hang out with. My friends were there supporting me. And then when I moved to Saskatoon in 2012, I experienced a bully, and then I experienced way more than that. I experienced loneliness. Over the years going by in that public school, I let the negative words change my mindset and my personality. I let it change who I was as a person and how I interacted with others. And I gotta tell you, I didn't want it, but it happened. And then how I let those negative words influence my decisions and how I acted. And I gotta say, not everyone I knew, not even my parents or my loved ones, never knew I was actually hurting because how much I hid it from them. And then I let it change how my relationship was with my parents and my family. I shut everyone out that I loved. And then I let it affect me in ways that I don't even want to say. And then I was just, where everything just felt hopeless, and how my life felt worthless, how I felt like I had no purpose. Because I come from a Christian home, and we went to camp meetings, we went to churches, and each time we went, I always heard the same thing. But they didn't mean anything to me. Now, moving from the public school to grade 6, we were doing this play. I don't like going in front of people because, going in front of there it scares me. But then a teacher pulls me into a room, shares me with this verse, Luke 17:6. If you have faith as small as a mustard seed, you can say to this mulberry tree, be uprooted in the middle of the sea, and it will obey you. Now, I was just like, mind blown. That's where the motivation started in my life. That's where, everything, when it felt like I was worthless, that's when purpose began in my life. That's where God took place in my heart. And then time went on. I like what I said from that bully, how he changed who I was different around people in the school. If I grew up in a Christian home, that doesn't mean that I'm a Christian. I was a Christian, but in my heart, I didn't feel like I was a Christian, because how much worthless I felt, how much I let the enemy affect who I was, and how much I believed in what he said to me, and the lies that he said. And then just thinking, God, what do you have for me? You say you love me, but I don't feel your love. And just asking the question, why me? Why does this have to happen to me? And the time went on. It's just I didn't find an answer. I didn't know who I was because how much I let people define me as a person who was nothing and ugly and just dumb, and that's how I was defined as. I was defined as this average kid coming from a reserve. And I can tell you one thing, I was ashamed of who I was, and I felt ashamed to even go up on stage because I didn't want people to look at me, because I didn't like who I was, how I was created. And then motivation, I didn't feel anything. I didn't feel a desire to do anything. And then God, when he started in my heart, he started a camp meeting. And I just remember feeling the presence of God overwhelm my heart. And I was like, thank you. I went back to school, and times were still hard. I still felt, judged, and I still felt a lot of hurt. I still felt the same loneliness that I felt from grade 4. And I was just like, you know what? I'm done with this. It's just like, when is this gonna end? I feel like I'm going through a roller coaster, going up and down, up and down. But then God comes with me with another message. Proverbs 3:5-6, trust in the Lord with all your heart, lean not on your own understanding, for he'll make it pass straight. Even though I may walk through the time of my life, through these darkest times, I will trust in God that he will make my path straight. Even though I may fall into darkness, I will trust in him that he will bring me back into the light. That I may lean onto him, that my path may be straight, that my purpose is actually there, that everything that feels numb, the pain that I may feel, the lack of motivation, the worthlessness in my heart, that I can trust in God, that He'll make everything better. And that motivated me to keep moving forward. That regardless of whatever I'm going through, that God will be there with me, because He says in His Word, He will never leave you nor forsake you. And I use that to motivate me to keep on pursuing my life, that I can keep moving forward. That in this darkness that I may feel, I can trust in God that He may bring me back into the light.
A growth mindset might sound simple. The truth is, few people really embrace a growth mindset. Believing that you can do the hard things, that you can get the skills and the learning and the necessary maybe mentorship that you need to be able to accomplish awesome things. This is going to set you up for success, and it's the confidence that God loves you, that His finger's on your life, that allows you to live with that kind of a mindset.